If you have mold toxicity, the glutathione conjugation pathway is probably one of the most important pathways that you can work at. This is part 5 of my detoxification series, where I'm going through all of the detox pathways in a little bit more detail to figure out if there's one that's gunked up that's causing all of your problems, especially if you've been exposed to environmental toxicants like mold, heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, and the like, and it's causing a lot of chronic illness for you. So with the glutathione conjugation pathway, it really helps detoxify mold, and it's probably one of the ones that are most important for detoxifying mold, but it also interacts with other pathways in a way that it can get compromised. The glutathione conjugation pathway is one of the phase 2 pathways where it's taking phase 1 toxicants, attaching a glutathione onto it, conjugating it with glutathione, and then being able to get rid of it. A lot of what gets processed through the glutathione conjugation pathway are environmental toxins. So people who have impaired glutathione conjugation pathway will have a lot of sensitivities. This is how you develop multiple chemical sensitivity. When you go into the grocery store and you walk down the laundry aisle and you're just blowing up with symptoms, this is why. Or it can be like any mild thing that you get exposed to, you have symptoms. This can be why. It's because your body can't handle processing the environmental toxicants. There's like some immune system sensitization, and you're going to have a lot more reactions. Now, the main cofactor for glutathione conjugation is glutathione, which is why when you mold detox, it's going to consume a lot of glutathione. And in order to build glutathione, you need the building blocks. So you can both build glutathione in your body. You create this from sulfur-containing amino acids like methionine or cysteine. It is created through something called the transsulfuration pathway, which comes down from homocysteine or cysteine. You also need enough glycine, glutamate, selenium, magnesium, riboflavin, vitamin C, and E. So all of these help create the glutathione that's needed in this pathway and to be able to recycle it after it's been used. The GST genes are the most implicated in the glutathione conjugation pathway, and these are actually pretty common deletions. So if you do genetic testing and find that you have like a GSTM1 null, where you have a deletion in this pathway, you might be more sensitive to mold and chemicals and maybe stress, because this pathway just doesn't, you just don't make glutathione quite as well. So usually this pathway is pretty straightforward, but where this can get complicated is it can interact with the sulfation pathway, especially if you have something like hydrogen sulfide SIBO. So my previous video was on the sulfation pathway, so if you just want to jump over to the sulfation pathway video, you can take a look at that. But basically the way that it interacts is that they both are dependent on, glutathione and like sulfur containing amino acids to be able to produce their cofactors. And one of the biggest issues here is that when cysteine is metabolized to form glutathione, it actually generates sulfite, and then that needs your body's sulfite oxidase enzyme to turn it back into sulfate, and sulfate is then used in the sulfation pathway. And if you watch the previous video, you'll know that when you have hydrogen sulfide SIBO, then you can get a lot of the sulfide overload, and that can irritate your gut immune system, your gut nervous system, and all of that. It can really cause more sulfur sensitivity, and this is what can happen if somebody takes glutathione or NAC in an attempt to push the glutathione conjugation pathway, but they end up reacting because by processing that cysteine, you're overloading on sulfide, and then that's causing more irritation to your system, and then your sulfate oxidase enzyme starts getting overloaded because the sulfate oxidase also bottlenecks with nutrients and cofactors that it needs. So you're using up a lot of the molybdenum and other B vitamins that you're needing to be able to process the sulfide into sulfate. So this can end in sort of like a crashing when you're taking too much of the glutathione and NAC, which, granted, isn't the fault of the glutathione conjugation pathway. It's more of an issue with the sulfation pathway, but it can really impair the glutathione conjugation pathway because of the glutathione conjugation pathway needing the glutathione and you not being able to synthesize the glutathione or intake the glutathione because the cysteine metabolism is getting gunked up or overwhelmed, and the glutathione that you're taking is ending up contributing to your sulfur sensitivity instead of working to help your detoxification. So yeah, if you've ever taken glutathione and just not had a great time, this complex interaction is probably why, in which case then supporting the sulfide oxidase enzyme would probably be your best bet, and trying to get rid of any sort of hydrogen sulfide SIBO, that would be your best bet too, just to decrease your system's overload of sulfide, so that the sulfide oxidase enzyme can catch up, giving it some molybdenum, giving it some B12 and other B vitamins in order to work properly, but also decreasing your exposure to sulfide just in general. And if you've watched this far, thank you so much. In the next video, I'm going to cover methylation, which, yes, is hugely impacted by like MTHFR and stuff like that. So yeah, stay tuned. And I've also been seeing some of your comments. There have been people asking me if I'm going to be able to come up with something visual to go through this a little bit more, because I know these words are really big and sound really technical. I am coming up with something, but let me just get through all of the parts first so that I can stay a little bit more organized, because if I go off on a tangent, I will just go off on the tangent. So thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks.